My name is Paul Thomas. I'm from Southern California, and this is my forward operating base circa 2020, 2018, 2016, Afghanistan. Yeah. So we've got a small airfield along with several different buildings and tents. This particular forward operating base is a special operating base, special forces operating base. So you'll find anything from the Marine Corps, which is providing the security here, the Air Force, which are operating the helicopters here, and then, of course, special operators may be coming in and out of the base depending on what they need to do and whatever operations are taking place in the general area. So we've got a helicopter landing right now that is a medic helicopter, and we've got guys waiting, bringing out a injured person on a stretcher, which happens to be our vice president today. And we've got our helicopters over here. We have a special operations rescue helicopter, a Pedro, as well as we've got the Ghost Hawk, which everybody knows from the raid on Bin Laden's compound, which is sitting there and being ready to take off for another operation. We've got several other details around the layout, along with our guard towers covering the four corners. We've got security lights covering the exterior to light up the outside at night. Each tower has also got cameras on them operated by the Marines so that they can view the exterior using cameras. We've got lots of other details on here. Of course, Conex containers, very, very common to find on bases deployed, where they bring in materials and so forth and then end up being storage containers or even living quarters for people if they want. Then over here on the base side of the compound, we've got sleeping quarters in the tents, workout area where troops can work out and keep their muscles growing. We've got a hospital container here where those that are injured can be brought in, and of course a Humvee ambulance to bring people in from out of the field. We've got larger tents over here, the DFAC tent, which is the dining facility, and then support containers. We've got a freezer container, got a gentleman bringing out a nice big turkey to cook, and then some Conex containers that have been converted into sleeping quarters. This is the base building where you can go in and buy your favorite potato chips or not, and we've got some Amazon packages that have been delivered for pickup. And over here we've got a weapons bay with a gunsmith on site who can sight your weapon or fix your weapon if need be, and then of course some supplies that are down in there along with some anti-tank missiles and medic kits, MREs, and different items that you may need in terms of explosives and more ammo for going out in the field. And of course we have to have a bathroom, so we've got a couple bathrooms for the troops to use, and got a gentleman here that's got his toilet paper in hand and he's ready to make it over to the bathroom. We've got our mobile shower unit, which is deployed to the field so they can go in there and take a shower. And we've got the front gate here with lots of security. We've got our Marines with a K9 unit and lots of barbed wire to protect the front. And then, of course, lots of signs on the front gate just for fun and something out in the field to do for fun. Of course, we've got a Humvee here with another machine gun on it, flying the American flag on top, of course. And we've got over here a headquarters building. It was an existing building on site that they converted and used for military use in the base. And then next to that, they have the Tactical Operations Center where field operations are planned and monitored while the troops go out and take care of their different missions. Over here, we've got a repair center with a gentleman over there taking care of a Humvee, a special operations Humvee, and he's welding a part back on. Who knows what fell off out there as they're out in the field. Of course, we've got some generators here to keep the field operating with power throughout the throughout the base, and that's about it.
No, that's a great tour all around here. So there's so many great elements you've been able to include in here. Is this based on any particular base, or how did you kind of do your research for this? Because obviously this is very recent, so most of the builds we cover would be older historical builds, but this is something that's much more recent material.
Well, obviously, it would seem recent, but, we've been out in the desert now for 20 years. So this is a combination of different pictures that I've found online. Anytime I do research, I, of course, Google forward operating base, and you're going to get 1,000 pictures. Plus, if you go on to YouTube, you type in forward operating base, you're going to get some actual tours of forward operating bases by people that were based on the base. And if you follow them around their tour, you'll see lots of things. But if you look beyond what they're talking about, you can see lots of details of things that they're using or things that they have in the field that helps fill in the small details on the layout. It's not any particular base. It's just one that I created based on the research that I did. So
you've got a lot of these different kind of like barrier square sections here. You've even got some bigger ones by the gate. Talk a little bit about the design of those, because I like how those came together. And then you got the sort of like greebling on top to add that.
Yeah. So there is a name for these, and I forgot what they're called. Essentially, they're bags that the military deploys to the field. They then fill them with dirt on site, and they're like sandbags. So they use them quite a bit for protection. These ones here around the tent are actually to protect the tents and the stuff. So if incoming artillery were to just strike in the field, any of that debris from that artillery will hopefully be stopped by those protection barriers. Now, the ones at the front gate are actually were designed by a gentleman at Armor Brick, which is a competitor to Brickmania out in Russia. I saw his picture online, so I built a couple of the big ones, and then based on his design, I did my own based on his design and just kind of made a smaller version of that to use around the base to give it that authentic feeling. They use a lot of different barriers in the bases. Some of them is concrete. Some of them is concrete barriers. Some of these bags that they use filled with sand and to protect the troops, and then of course traditional sandbags as well to give space for people to hide behind in the event of artillery attack.
And I like the look of the different tents and buildings here, which obviously have kind of that rounded shape, which isn't always super easy to achieve with Lego.
No, it's not. I have a new one, a new version of this in design. I just haven't gotten the pieces for it yet, but that was the look I was going for. When you see these deployed out in the field, they've got that shape to them, and then they've kind of got that raised bar look to it that, that's being supported on the framework of the inner tent itself. So I think they came out really nice, and I enjoy the way they look. So,
now, is there any interior on any of these buildings here?
There is no interior on any of these buildings here. Some people have asked if we wanted to do it, but it's a complicated process if you're opening up buildings and putting them back on there and not having them fall apart on you as you do that. So yeah.
And then you've got obviously a massive amount of gray pieces for the wall all around here. Yeah. So is that just kind of like slopes at the bottom and then building those wall sections up?
They're actually built kind of like they would out in the field. The Army shows up, and I'm assuming they have some form they bring with them, and they start making concrete and pouring them into forms in mass, and then they move these around and position them. So they're actually, I'll try to take one off here, but they're actually basically 6x6 with an overlapping piece, and they can be, obviously put together any way you want to give protection to the base. And they have different designs. This particular one is usually used on the exterior, and then they have interior ones that may be a little bit different design. And these ones designed here for the exterior actually have a large lip on the back side of them that gets kind of buried underneath the dirt, or on the front side, gets buried underneath the dirt, so that if a vehicle were to come along and strike the barrier, the dirt and that keeps it from being able to be knocked over and making a breach of the exterior walls.
Moving back over to the helicopters here, talk a little bit about the design of some of these and the different. I know you kind of said they each represent something a little bit different here.
Yeah, so these are all Brickmania kits. The current ones on here that have recently been released, of course, is the Ghost Ghost Hawk, which is from the raid, like I said, on Bin Laden's compound. It's able to fly through the air with relative stealth capabilities, allowing it to get deep into enemy territory, which is obviously a nice feature if you're doing special operations. And that one's just sitting there waiting for its next operations. The Helo over here, the Medic Helo, that's another great recent set from Brickmania. I think it's still available from them. And it's coming in for a landing to pick up its wounded soldiers and take them out of the field, out of the operations area, and move them to a actual hospital. And then over here is the special operations helicopter that would go out and rescue downed pilots out in the field and bring them back to the base, and then maybe put them in the local medic tent, or maybe even transport them back to a hospital in the area.
So this is quite a massive layout here. Do you know the size of this, or how many pieces at all in it?
Size is 5 feet by 7.5 feet. No. Yeah, 5 feet. No, 5 feet by 10 feet. That's how long it is. So, sorry, I had to think about it for a second. And number of pieces, who knows? I'm not even going to gather a guess at this point. So I'm sure it's a couple 100,000 pieces when it's all said and done. So.
Well, great work here. Thanks so much for giving us the tour of the whole base. I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.